HIFI reached out and said, hey, we want you to try out this in-ear monitor. I jumped at the chance. They also said, we want to send you this player as well, the AP80 Pro X. And this thing is positively tiny. And so I said, yeah, let's go for it. And I'm really happy I did. This is my first dedicated pair of wired IEMs. Previously, it's all just wireless earbuds. And to get a better sense of how a product like this performs, I was happy to get a pair of these in-house for myself to listen to. These being wired, you can use them when you are out and about, and I did give that a whirl, but truth be told, I found that I enjoyed them quite a bit more when I was here stationary at home. I guess now I'm just sort of institutionalized to the world of wireless headphones because I lived most of my life with wired earbuds and wired headphones, and that was never a problem or a pain point, but I guess it now is. And of course, if you wouldn't mind just liking this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications and all that good stuff. It really does help me get more products like this in for review. This year's been awesome. Lots of products in. Thank you so much. Now, I have seen from cursory internet searches that people tend to fall into one camp or the other. They're either an over-ear headphone person or an IEM one, and I don't really fall into one camp over the other, though I do gravitate towards over-ear headphones. I do find that they're just easier to wear over the long haul, but that is solely personal preference. But I mean, when are any of my reviews not personal preference reviews? They're always my own sample size of one. I rarely take into account everyone else's opinion. It's always just me. And so I'm doing this review from, I guess, my first wired IEM experience, coming off of essentially just using over-ear headphones, with the exception of the A100s from Cambridge Audio, the wireless earbuds, because I wear those to the gym now. The HIFI Mark 12 Touras is a 12mm, 91% pure magnesium diaphragm hi-fi in-ear monitor that retails for $1.99 US. You get a high-purity, oxygen-free, copper, silver-plated wire cable. That's a lot to say. Everything here's a lot to say. You have a 2-pin detachable connector, 3.5mm or 4.4mm cable. You have 3 pneumatic sound tuning filters, 3 types of silicone ear tips, a customized pouch, frequency response of 10 Hz to 45 kHz, and it's high-res certified. Also packaged along with this are some high-end silicone ear tips that I cannot pronounce that retail for $18.99. These ones I did find myself using for the majority of the time. They look really cool, but I just found that they fit my ears better and I like the sound. They are said to enhance bass, give you crisp highs, natural mids. They are hypoallergenic, odorless, waterproof, sweatproof, and washable. And they also sent the AP80 Pro X portable balanced lossless MQA music player that also retails for $1.99. I'm not going to be talking about that player in this review. I think it deserves its own little review, but I will mention that, yeah, I did use that player with these IEMs. I also used the Activo P1 by Astel & Kern. I also used this on the Rotel DX3 preamplifier, amplifier, and DAC, and the new Fosse Audio ZH3. I feel like this is where these earbuds might prove to be a bit divisive. They have a somewhat feminine, jewel-like look to them. And I guess depending on your level of insecurity, that might be a problem for you. And if you couple that with a white cord, which is also very dainty, it's a look. And look, I'm not the bastion of all masculinity or anything, but you know, it does have a look to it. And if you do feel some sort of way about having big jewels in your ears, then I get it. It's available in 4 colors. My sample came in gunmetal gray, but also ocean blue, red, and a titanium gradient. It looks and feels like a high-end product. They're not cheap either at $1.99. With the Taurus, there's a bunch of crazy naming and marketing on it. It's named after a jellyfish. It comes with different types of tuning tips that are said to be tailored for vocals, balance, and bass, and you can switch between them to enhance whichever ones you might be gravitating towards. They include some tuning filters as well. There's gold, silver, and red. It came fitted with the golds, and the golds are a bit more focused on the mids, the silvers are a bit brighter, and the red ones are said to be a bit more bass focused. And with those screwed in, I found that they sounded a bit more my speed. So I left them on for the duration of my listening. I like a little bit of bump in the lows anyway. Now, those of you that are fairly well versed with IEMs already know what to expect from a product like this, but for the uninitiated or just people like me that this is my first wired pair, there are some things to take into account. For one, they do take a bit of getting used to. They are monitors that go directly into your ears, and the cables actually wrap over your ears to keep them secure. It's a nice little thing. The cables are pretty sort of curved, but when you are wearing IEMs and you are out and about, there are a couple things that do happen. For me, I hear my footsteps like crazy and my footsteps sound like thunder. That is for all things that go inside my ears. It's kind of like plugging your ears and going for a walk. You hear your internal body more. So I hear my footsteps, I hear my breathing, I hear the cable hitting my chest when I am walking. And for that reason, I usually gravitate towards over ears when I am out and about going for a walk or something. I just hear less of my innards and my body, but that doesn't bug some people, so just something to keep in mind. I also find that I listen quieter on IEMs than I do with over-ear headphones, probably because the sound is more focused into my ears. I also get more detail, I think, and the type of music that I'm listening to differs a bit from on headphones. A lot more of the drum and bass that I love listening to on over-ears, I don't enjoy as much because the details are a bit more focused, especially on these ones. And I've read countless comments below my videos saying, you know, that electronic drum and bass dubstep music you listen to is an audiophile. It's not as nuanced. You don't hear separation of instruments as well. I get it. But it is the music that I actually enjoy listening to. It's what I grew up listening to. Well, hip hop, techno, drum and bass. And so I'm listening more purposefully to different music on these, but when I'm done this review, for example, I'll be listening to these a lot less because of the music that I listen to on a daily basis. The things I like is the way these fit. I like the way the cables wrap around my ears and hold them into place. They didn't fall out of my ears or slip out, but I also wasn't doing anything overly active in them. I was pretty much just sitting stationary. I also should note that sample size of 1, I can't actually wear IEMs for long durations of time. About 40 minutes is sort of my max, and then I'd have to take them out because my ear canals get a little bit sore, and then because they're sore, I just automatically equate that to, maybe my ears are being fatigued, even though it's just my ear holes being sore, so I just don't listen to anything for like an hour or two after plopping them out, and then I go back to my usual listening, but yeah, just something to flag. My takeaway is that if you like clarity, you like detail, you like a sparkly top end, a not too forward mid-range, a nice deep bottom end, not overblown in any way, that you should probably take a look at these. I don't think I can comment on soundstage and imaging because they're in my ears, so they are a lot more focused sounding. It's not really imaging, really, because it doesn't image towards you. It's driving sound into your ears. Like when I have a pair of speakers in front of me, it sort of fills the room. I hear the room along with the music, and sometimes it feels like I'm just wrapped or enveloped in sound. And then when I switch to over-ear headphones, it's kind of like that, but it's a bit more like I'm closed in and it's directed sound kind of all around me depending on what I'm listening to. But then with these on, it's just, I'm getting the sound, but so whatever this is. What I like doing with these was checking my mixes on Ableton. Like the intro tune for this video. I don't usually have a lot of time to make music, so I sit down at least once a week or for like an hour or two and attempt to create a tune. If something happens to work out, I spend a bit of time mixing it down so it's ready for YouTube. And if I'm lucky, I can render out a full tune that I can therefore post to Bandcamp that nobody will buy. But I can use these IEMs kind of like my car to do an initial test of my mixdown. My car sucks, my stereo is even worse, but testing out an unbalanced recording is kind of awesome in there. And so once I have a mix to a good enough place, I take a day or two away from mixing down with headphones and speakers, pop these in and see if anything is deficient or too prominent, like the rides and hats being too prominent or the top layer of the synth needing less reverb or a shortened tail. And then the big check is if my sub track is overblown. I have a really bad habit in my songs of letting the sub take up too much room in the mix. The gain is usually way too high, so I know via these IEMs just to turn it down. It's kind of awesome. And now I think I'm just going to add these in my bag for just that. A purpose-built IEM for nitpicking my tunes and also making tunes on the go. I do like the directed focus sound of these. I can pay attention to more nuances in my own music without the music coming across clinical or forward. It, to me, is a fairly neutral presentation, even with the red bass nozzles fitted. It works really well with the Activo P1. I do find that that player sounds really great when paired with this. I just have a slight EQ curve on that player, and it complements these IEMs really well. That is kind of my go-to companion player for these if I am out and about. So this one, being my first wired IEM, I think it's a bit of a winner. It sounds great, it's premium looking, and I have a very viable use case for this moving forward. I'm gonna be checking my Ableton mixes on this, do a couple passes via a couple of different headphones, and just to ensure a better balance in my mix before I do the final mix down. But I guess the obvious question is, like, can I hear a noticeable difference between this and a wireless earbud? If you haven't bought an IEM yet, maybe this is your question, and I would say that it really depends on two things for you. What kind of music do you listen to? If it's more electronic, a bit more mono, a bit more dance floor oriented, maybe you won't hear a measurable difference. But if you are listening to a bit more of the audiophile sort of stuff, the stuff that I actually don't listen to, like rock, classical, jazz, and whatever I hear at audio shows, sorry, if you listen to more of that stuff, then you'll probably hear more subtle variations in your music. But then also, how good is your hearing? This goes for everything. Like, I spent my adolescence and my 20s and a little bit of my 30s in clubs. Probably all kinds of hearing damage. There are subtle nuances that I probably won't be able to pick apart as well as others. But yeah,